I was halfway up Fifth Avenue wearing a grin so bright it should have come with a dimmer switch. In my hand, a warm paper bag from Goldstein's Deli containing my wife Clarissa's exact order: grilled chicken on rye, extra pickles, spicy, aioli that costs more per ounce than printer ink. 5 years of marriage will do that. You memorize your partner's lunch the way you memorize your social security number. Clarissa had a big product review that day at Stone & Archer Media. I'm a systems architect, professional fixer of invisible problems, so my idea of romance is redundancy. Show up, anticipate, support. I imagined her surprised face. I imagined being the world's greatest husband. The elevator to the 22nd floor crawled like a lazy glacier. I practiced my surprise face in the mirrored walls and looked like a man far too excited about sandwiches. Janet, at reception, waved me through without looking up. Everyone knew me as Clarissa's quiet husband, who made calm small talk about weather and left office parties early. Furniture with legs. It never bothered me. Clarissa's door was closed, which was unusual. She likes it open. Approachable, her word. I eased the handle, ready to deliver lunch and a kiss. The smell hit first. Heavy perfume, not Clarissa's. Then the picture came into focus like a TV sharpening. My wife pinned against her mahogany desk, hair mussed, blazer wrinkled, lipstick absent from her lips and somehow present everywhere else. And Trevor Kane, account director, Cologne Apocalypse, LinkedIn self-help quote machine, standing exactly where no one had invited him. The paper bag slid from my hand and thumped the carpet. I heard the pickle jar burst inside like a tiny grenade. "Clarissa," I said, and my voice sounded like it belonged to the delivery guy who went to the wrong address. She didn't flinch, didn't stammer, didn't even look embarrassed. She peeled herself off Trevor, smoothed her skirt, and gave me the bland look you reserve for a package that isn't yours. Trevor straightened his tie and looked irritated, as if I'd interrupted a very important paradigm disruption. "This is awkward," Clarissa said, mildly entertained. "Maybe knock next time, buddy," Trevor added, and the word buddy came dipped in condescension. "Why?" I asked. Not a scream, not a scene. Just the single question that carried all the others. Why him? Why here? Why are you doing this to us? Trevor stepped between us like a low-rent bodyguard. "Back off," he muttered, voice turning darker. I lifted my palms, peaceable. I am not a yeller. I am the guy who says, "Let's talk." He shoved. Me. I stumbled into the glass coffee table, caught myself, and tried to stand. I had time to say, "Trevor, stop," in a tone usually reserved for negotiations about salt at dinner. Then his fist cracked my jaw. The world tilted. The carpet met my cheek. Air fled my lungs just in time for his foot to find my ribs. Pain came in hot, fast waves. And then Clarissa laughed, not nervous, not shocked, a delighted, ringing laugh. "See?" she told Trevor. "I told you he wouldn't do anything. He never fights back." The sentence fell on me like a second kick. Years of myself condensed into a punchline. Footsteps in the hallway. The door opened. Miranda Stone, CEO, silver hair like a crown and eyes that managed HR compliance and hurricanes, walked in first. Priya from HR followed, phone already in hand. Luis, head of security, refrigerator with arms, calm as a surgeon, took up the doorframe. And then a fourth person, Olivia Caney, Trevor's wife, gripping a manila envelope like it contained a live wire. No one spoke at first. Priya called emergency services with the measured efficiency of someone who routinely handles other people's catastrophes. Luis stepped between Trevor and everyone else with the practiced grace of a man who knows how to end trouble before it begins. Olivia crossed the room, set the envelope on Clarissa's desk, and said, with winter-cold clarity, "These are the photos. This has been going on for months." I tasted blood and humiliation. Trevor's bravado drained out of him. Clarissa wandered through surprise, panic, freeze. Miranda's expression hardened into corporate thundercloud. "Mr. Hale," she said to me, voice a scalpel, "are you injured?" I nodded because my jaw didn't want to cooperate. Priya knelt nearby, hand hovering over my shoulder. "Ambulance is on the way." Luis's radio chirped. "Back up to 22. Conference room C12. Somehow that clinical label made it worse. To them it was a location. To me, it was the sight of my life coming apart. Luis escorted Trevor out. Priya placed Clarissa on immediate leave. Olivia didn't look at her husband. She didn't have to. The envelope had already looked for her. At urgent care, the doctor sealed my cheek with medical glue, wrapped my ribs, and told me nothing was broken, except presumably the scaffolding of my life. My sister, Riley, arrived with a hug that hurt and helped at the same time, and then called her friend Amelia, a lawyer who wore competence like armor. "Tell me everything," Amelia said, legal pad ready. So I did. The sandwich, the shove, the kick, the laugh. When I finished, she'd already written a list. File a police report, send a formal statement to HR, demand security footage, request a legal hold on devices and accounts, back up everything at home. Each item sounded like a step out of the fog. That night, I signed papers and slept on Riley's couch, my breath shallow, Clarissa's laugh looping in my head. 3 days later, I sat across from a digital forensics consultant named Tunde in a coffee shop that smelled like burnt ambition. He cloned my phone and flagged our joint accounts. "Your wife's digital hygiene," he said cheerfully, "is a crime all by itself." Transactions lit up. Hotel bars on nights she'd worked late, boutique purchases nobody bought for me, car services when she was exhausted. The timestamps lined up with my chamomile tea evenings, my supportive shoulder rubs. I felt sick in a new way. Not just betrayed, but subsidizing the betrayal. Then, cloud backups, chats she hadn't properly logged out of, messages with Trevor that read less like romance and more like a business plan. Phrases like silent sponsor, value add on Henderson, and side fund. Amelia's eyebrows climbed. We handed everything to Priya and Luis. Meanwhile, Olivia brought photos, statements, and the steadiness of someone who'd stopped hoping and started documenting. Rosa, the night shift floor manager, filed reports about noises and messes in Clarissa's office after hours. The evidence multiplied like rabbits. HR's formal meeting took place in a conference room so cold the air felt disciplined. I delivered my statement calmly. The door opening, the question, the punch, the kick, the sentence. He never fights back. Miranda sat in the corner, arms crossed, eyes fixed on the unfolding ruin. Priya's questions were respectful and razor-edged. They thanked me when I finished, which felt odd and strangely stabilizing. At the courthouse, Amelia filed for a temporary restraining order. "If he calls, don't answer," she said. "He called that night from a blocked number. I let it ring out into nothing." An email from Clarissa arrived 2 days later. "We need to talk." She wanted to explain, to meet for coffee like adults. I forwarded it to Amelia, who replied on my behalf, "All communication through counsel." I read the email again, and realized the old version of me, the one trained to smooth, soothe, and swallow, would have gone. The new version didn't. At night, without painkillers, memories replayed. Not the kissing, not even the kick, just the laugh and that line. Harmless. I'd spent years treating reasonable like virtue. Maybe it was. But I'd let it calcify into something that made me easy to ignore. More evidence surfaced. Tunde found a chat app they thought deleted everything unless saved. It didn't. Their thread stretched back months, complaints, rendezvous, and then the rot, a side fund, payments from clients who mysteriously purchased reputation services from a boutique firm called Elevation Strategies. Marco, a private investigator Amelia brought in, mapped the flow of money. The side firm piggybacked on Stone and Archer's accounts, siphoning consulting fees while trading on insider information a nameless executive contact supplied. I kept asking myself who Clarissa was and when I'd stop noticing. Wire fraud, conspiracy, corporate espionage, Amelia said clinically, like reading ingredients on a cereal box. And we haven't even gotten to the assault and the divorce. The next summons came from Miranda herself. Confidential meeting request. I didn't want to go back into that building, but Riley nudged me to my feet. You don't run from the fire when you're the one holding the extinguisher. Conference room A looked like it hosted peace treaties. Miranda sat at the head, Priya nearby, counsel taking notes, and, surprise, Mr. Archer, the company's co-founder, stone-faced and tired. Luis rolled in a cart, cued video from hallway cameras, and pressed play. There I was, walking with my paper bag and that stupid smile. There was Trevor slipping into Clarissa's office an hour earlier. The audio from the doorway caught the rest. My soft, why? The crack of fist on jaw, the whump of a kick, Clarissa's laugh, the line. The room went very quiet. Even Mr. Archer flinched. Miranda spoke. You didn't deserve this. 4. Words I didn't know I needed. Then she laid it out. Both employees terminated for cause, full cooperation with law enforcement, an internal sweep for the executive contact. And then she glanced at my resume, which someone had clearly pulled. We also have a security automation backlog. Your background fits. Would you consider consulting? I blinked. In a single week, I'd lost a marriage and gained the most surreal job interview of my life. Yes, I said, surprised by the steadiness